Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the Huddy Hui episode 110, and what a big day it has been, particularly our coverage of Wellington College taking on St Pat's Town. Big victors there for St Pat's, Wellington College today, winning 43 points to 10, comprehensive fashion, the first traditional of the year. Good work there by Adam Julian and Ollie Mickey, who are our commentators for the game. Well, joining us on the Hui tonight is Will Cosgriff, and Will is from the Wellington Axemen, and we've been meaning to get him on for a while. And he's finally available to talk to us tonight. Well, many thanks for coming on the Hui. The Wellington Axemen have been more competitive in 2024. They are yet to win. But what has been the change this season? Because the team's a lot more competitive.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Brad. We're definitely in a much better place than we have been in the last couple of seasons or so. I think this year we've had a new kind of coaching staff come in and management staff come in, and they've really brought a new kind of sense of professionalism and really driving some standards around the squad, which I think has helped. The other sort of aspect I think is we've got recruited really well over the off season, and got quite a few new players, strong players who have come along and also tried to help drive that culture and those standards. And sort of putting pressure on incumbent players to perform to make sure they hold their spot. So I think that, like you say, teams in a much healthier spot this season. Haven't got the results that we'd like just yet, but there's definitely there's confidence in the side, and I think we're building towards some really good performances in the weeks ahead.
What has Whaitonu Fairley brought to the Axemen HQ as Director of Rugby?
Yeah, he's been amazing, eh? He's been a really good addition. Like I sort of mentioned before, the kind of the professionalisms that he's brought along has been really good. And also the fact that I think he's obviously played at a really high level, coached a lot of quality sides. So I think he brings a real depth of knowledge to the squad. And he's been a fantastic leader. So I think everyone's getting in behind him, and really looking forward to seeing what he can do this year and in the years to come, I would hope.
Last weekend, you had to travel out to William Jones Park to play Wainui-Mata, always a tough assignment. Out there, you went down 47-11, but what were the learnings from that game?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, bad. It was actually a pretty disappointing result for us. We'd sort of felt in the previous few weeks that we'd been building quite nicely and then sort of improving week on week. But yeah, like last week against Wainui, it was probably a bit of a step in the wrong direction. So I think one of the key things for us, it's about making sure we don't put pressure on ourselves. So, we'd maybe score some points and then we end up, once we receive the kickoff after that, failing to get to an exit, and then all of a sudden we're defending again and we're under pressure, or we're in their half and we're playing some decent footy deep in their territory, and then when we give away a sort of a needless or careless penalty, and then once again we're sort of under pressure. So I think it's a lot for us. It's making sure that we avoid those little mistakes, because they do tend to they can add up on you a bit. So I think that's sort of our focus. But in some ways, with a game like that, you can look at some of the areas perhaps we would like to improve, but I also think we don't want to lose sight of the bigger picture, and the fact that in the weeks before that we're playing lots of good footy, and in some days you have a bit of an off day, things don't click, you're not there sort of mentally 100%, and sometimes it's sort of better to flush those and actually just go back to what was working before. How we're preparing for games and getting ready and putting in some sort of improving performances. So we've sort of debriefed the game a bit this week, but we're also mainly just looking ahead to next week and looking to get back on the horse.
How are the other teams at the club going this year, and particularly the Prem Reserves?
Yeah, really good actually, Brad. I think it's really showing the fact that the club is turning a corner, because the Prem Reserves are looking good. They've got really good depth in terms of numbers this year, and they're getting some good wins. And you're also sort of seeing that across the club in general. There's lots of really good Colts players coming through. really strong team as well, and again getting some results and what's a really competition in that Colts team. And then obviously the mighty 85s also getting a few big wins, which we hear a lot about in the club rooms afterwards. So I think if you look at the club as a whole, obviously at the moment, Crims haven't been getting the results we'd want, but you look at where the club was last year, the year before that, we're definitely in a far better position, and if we just keep sticking at it, no doubt we're going to start to get some results across the board.
What are some of the challenges for the Axemen when you have 5 clubs so close together in that eastern suburbs region of the city?
Yeah, it's really difficult. Obviously, you're competing for a kind of finite group of players, and it's difficult, like you say, with so many clubs close to each other. I think what's been hard as well for the Axemen over the last few years is because we haven't had too many strong results. All of a sudden, you're trying to get the best talent coming out of high school or the best talent coming to the region, and it's hard to make a strong case for why they should be coming to the club. But I think that's why what's been good about the last year, bringing Whātono and this sort of wider group in, and then them really sort of explaining their vision for the club and their vision for the team. And I think they're able to kind of sell it to players and show people that if they come along and if everyone works hard, no doubt we'll achieve some pretty special stuff. But like you say, it's a massive challenge. Player numbers are always sort of dropping across the board. So you've got to compete. One of the other things that we've done as well is we don't just look around just around sort of our region. We've got lots of boys that come from kind of all over Wellington, which is great as well. So I think that's been important for us as well. Lots have had quite a strong connection with Bishop Yard College over the last few years. And so we've got lots of players coming out of there as well. So you don't just look at the close schools or the guys living around those sort of eastern suburbs. You've got to go a bit broader to be trying to drag in as much talent as possible. And yeah, it's definitely starting to work quite well.
2 weeks ago, you narrowly lost against Marist St. Pat's. How was that game, considering that there's a few former MSP players in the Axemen now? You came super close to beating them on their home turf.
Yeah, there certainly is. Obviously, we have a few ex-MSP players and coaches floating around. So I think when I first looked at the draw at the beginning of this year, the first fixture I had a look at to work out when it was that game against Marist, because I knew there'd be a bit of extra feeling probably for both clubs, to be honest. So it was an amazing atmosphere. It was also their old timers day, so that was a big match for us, and it was pretty heartening to see the way that the boys played, because it was one of our sort of strong performances, and for lots of that game it really felt like it was going to be one that went our way. So it was good to perform as well as we did in a game that was as important to us as it was, but yeah, probably let ourselves down a little bit in that last quarter, and I think part of that comes down to of late not having lots of experience of being right in those tight games, and when it gets down to the last quarter, like I say, all of a sudden the decisions and your kind of involvements in the game become really significant in the results, so really important to sort of to stay in the moment and make sure we're executing their little things really well, and putting as much pressure on the opposite.
You're the captain of the side. When did you take on this responsibility, and what has the captaincy taught you about leadership?
Yeah, so I'm the co-captain this year with Ami Paongo. But yeah, I've was captain for the last 2 seasons as well, which has been probably not a role that I've done heaps in the past. So it's definitely been a challenge, but yeah, something I have really relished. But it definitely it's a role that means you've got to be thinking more than just sort of broader than just your own performance, and I think that takes a bit of a learning curve to be thinking, not just about yourself and making sure you're at the right mindset for training and the right mindset for the game. It's also trying to help get the other boys up. But I think one of the things that has been great this season, and something that I've appreciated sort of leading the side for the last few years as the leaders that you have around you as well. It's impossible as one player to be leading a team, and also it's important to have a kind of variety of leaders who have different leadership styles. You're never going to be successful if you just have, one or two guys floating around really taking on those leadership positions. You need them right across the board to be helping to kind of drive the team, drive those expectations about how we're going to train and perform, and making sure we're motivating each other to be the best that we can be.
The Axemen have a unique history, being the oldest club in Wellington. How important is to respect and maintain that history?
Yeah, it's very important. I see that you've got the Give 'em the Axe book right in front of you there, Brad, and a masterpiece written by Keith Quinn. So definitely worth purchasing for anyone listening. And if they come along to the club for Old Timers Day on Saturday, I'm sure Keith will sign a copy for you. But yeah, no, the history of the club it's really special. It's one of the things that really attracted me to the club. And I think it makes me feel really appreciative to be able to sort of put on that jersey when you think about all the put on for you, and a real sense that you're just a guardian. You chuck it on, and you have that privilege, which is great. There'll be one day when you put it on for the last time, and you just hope when that day comes that the jersey's in a better spot than when you first became a sort of a guardian of it. So. Yeah, it's a really cool aspect of the club, and just definitely something that's not lost on me or any of the other players. It's a motivating factor, and it's pretty special.
Who are some of the key characters in the Axemen side?
What do you mean by character, Brad?
Oh, wide definition, isn't it? Some of the larrikins you might have in the team.
No, there's lots of key characters. I think we've got a few of the new boys. The Hui brothers coming in have been great. They've been performing well on the field, and just vastly experienced footy players, which is great. So that they've brought real professionalism and standards to the club, which has been great. We've got the other kind of loyal stalwart that have been floating around for longer than they might care to admit, with Cam Rosengraves or Jack Lawrensons, which are the type of characters that are always there, cleaning up the changing rooms afterwards, and helping out on a Saturday morning and things like that, which are super important in building the club. The other thing which has been great to see is we've had some international fellas turn up. So we've got a great first five, Charlie, who's a young guy, so he's been great. Bringing some kind of fresh legs into the club, and then Antonio, our Portuguese prince, front row prop, been really good as well, and it's just great getting that kind of real diversity in the team in terms of the age and the kind of experiences. It makes for a great group of boys, so we have a great time together, and
Where did your junior rugby begin, and what club was that?
Don't hold it against me, Brad, but I'm an Aucklander, so I played for the Grammar Juniors up in Auckland. So yeah, that was my original club. Well, actually, if I wind it all the way back, actually, that was from when I was 7 years old. But apparently, I don't remember it, and I scarcely believe it. But apparently, I played for 1 year when I was 6 years old from St. Pat's before we left Wellington. But I've chosen to forget that for various reasons.
Now, you attended Auckland Grammar for your secondary school education. How was your time there? In particular, this is a school that has a unique history, strong history, but it has produced the most All Blacks in the country.
Certainly has, Brad. I think 52 or 53 at last count, something like that. No, it was great. I really enjoyed my rugby. They had some amazing coaches, and ended up playing a couple of years in the first 15, and it's just such a intense professional environment. Like, you get the most amazing coaches, facilities, playing some really high pressure matches, which I think is, for a young footy player, it's just such a good way to cut your teeth. And so I have incredibly fond memories. Yeah, looking back at those glory years, which unfortunately are many years ago now.
And of course, there are many such famous games that Grammar play, and let's talk about one of them in particular, Kings versus Grammar. How huge is that experience, and did you get to play in one of those games?
Yeah, I did. Which was really cool. We won in my final year. So we won 29-15 in my final year. Absolutely smashed them 4-0, which was the coolest. That was out at Kings, and it was definitely one of those games you'll never forget. Unfortunately, in my year 12 year though, we did lose in the last minute. Simon Hickey ended up setting up a pretty amazing try in the corner. So it sort of goes both ways, but yeah, those are just such massive spectacles. The whole school gets along, the whole community gets along. You feel like a bit of a superstar playing in those big matches. But yeah, the sorts of rugby experiences that you'll never forget, whether they go the way you'd like or whether they go the way that you won't. But yeah, no, it's really good, and played with some amazing players.
And also during your time there, did you manage to hold on to the bridge off St. Peter's? That's another famous first 15 traditional.
Yeah, the battle of the bridge. We certainly did. I don't think I ever lost to St. Peter's. So we managed to win those games. Yeah, but they were another good contest. It was sort of similar to kind of Axemen MSP contest in terms of just being right around the corner from each other. So yeah, they were pretty special clash as well.
Now, after you finished at Auckland Grammar, where did you head off to for your university studies?
Yeah, I went down to Dunedin, studied down at University of Otago, and started off playing for the Tyree Eels, which is a great club. It's out in Mosgiel, so it's sort of out by the airport in Dunedin, and it's a bit unique in terms of the Dunedin clubs, because all the other Dunedin clubs are all around the city and have a kind of a real student feel to them, whereas Tyree, there's a few less students, a few more farmers, and it was a great place to sort of start my senior rugby. Really cool, and we ended up winning the comp in my second year. We won the Premier comp, which was pretty cool. Special result to get so early in my senior career.
And once you finished your time down there in Dunedin and for Tyree, how did the move to Wellington come about?
Yeah, so after I finished up at uni, I went and played a season over in Spain, and then after I finished uni, and then was sort of looking to come back to New Zealand to get a job, work in government. So Wellington was kind of the natural fit, and I was sort of trying to find a club somewhere around central Wellington. My brother was at the Axemen, and I had a few chats to a few people who played there in the past, and I only had really positive things to say about the club. So I sort of kind of just fell into it. But yeah, if you ever look back, it's been a pretty incredible experience.
And your first game for the Wellington Axemen at Premier level, who was your debut against? And what was it like running out there for your first Premier game?
But I honestly couldn't tell you who we played, but it was pretty cool. I'd sort of arrived halfway through the season, so I'd just come off a season in Spain, and I was expecting to kind of ease my way into it, playing against the reserves or whatever. But we had a couple of injuries, and I think one of the boys got called up to go play for the Hurricanes development or something. So all of a sudden, I think I'd only just arrived at the club, and I'd just kind of been thrown out there. Which is not what I was expecting, but it was pretty cool to get that opportunity straight off the bat, and loved it. I think it might have been Old Boys Maris actually.
Yeah.
Now I think about it.
And how was rugby in Spain while you were over there? And how's it different from New Zealand?
Yeah, it was good. It was an interesting competition. The imports were pretty strong, like some really, really quality players. But you kind of had a max cap of how many non-Spanish people you could have. So it was sort of like there was really differing abilities. So it made some kind of interesting games. We've got old Spanish guys boosting down the wing, and then some like guys that played some really decent rugby in Europe, kind of running the cutter. So it was interesting, a bit eye-opening. Really kind of based on like a more kind of northern model, really forward dominant, lots of kind of kicking type play, not as expensive as you'd probably get in the southern hemisphere. The other kind of cool thing about the competition is there's not as many teams. We pretty much played all over southern Spain, so from Madrid really south. So it meant lots of travelling for games and long boozy bus trips home, which were always lots of fun.
What has been your best game for the Axemen so far?
Highlight, probably maybe a few years ago we played Jayville out at Jayville, and we ended up getting a narrow win. I think we ended up earning a penalty turnover with a few minutes to go, and I think it might have been Stowe, mate of mine, who sort of hit the kick to go up ahead. So obviously I don't get a hell of a lot of turnovers, so pretty happy to get that turnover at that moment, and obviously going to get a good win out there. It's always a pretty loud crowd, and I had a few mates down visiting Wellington who had come along to watch. He was playing with a really good mate of mine, Cam Hislop, the javelin. That was pretty fond memory when I look back at that result.
You mostly play halfback. What are some of your key qualities as a halfback?
Mainly halfback. I think just main things I suppose that I focus on is just skill set. I sort of say as a halfback, you live and die by your pass. You've got to be getting the core roles right, and then on top of that, I think it's just decision making. Obviously, throughout a match, the halfback has so many involvements, so many opportunities to kind of influence the course of the game based on the decisions they make. So ensuring that making really good decisions is something that I also try focus on, and then just making sure I'm organising the fullback and embarking, getting the boys around the track is kind of the things that I look to try make sure I'm thereabouts with.
And you also play a bit of sevens in the off season as well. Tell us about sevens and what's your main role in sevens?
Oh yeah, I get roped into a bit of sevens by Isava Tico, our sevens coach. He's a Fijian guy, absolute legend. Used to play for the Fijian sevens team, so he's been showing me the ropes over the last few years. It's probably not a natural fit for myself, Brad. If I had any pace, I'd probably lost it a few years ago. So yeah, it's something I like to do. It's a great way to stay fit and stay sort of keeping in touch with the boys. So I enjoy it, but yeah, it's probably not my strong suit, to be honest. I think I might see if I can step out of it this season, but Isava will probably drag me back into it.
Now, you're still at work. That looks like a rather impressive office that you are sitting in. What do you do for work these days?
So I work in Parliament.
Yes.
So I work for a government department called the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, but like on secondment, so on loan to the Minister's office. So currently working in the office. So if I use the rugby analogy, like the department in BIE would be like the forward pack doing the grunt work.
Yep.
I'm the halfback, driving them around, communicating between the forward pack and the back line over here at Parliament.
Now, this Saturday, you've got Batoni at home. How will the Axemen face this challenge?
Yeah, good. Really excited for it, eh? I think it's always pretty, always a great occasion, Old Timers Day, so we'll be excited for that. And I think the boys also just ready to get back out there after, like I mentioned earlier, a pretty disappointing performance next week. Last week. It's a great thing about rugby is you get another chance 10 days later. So I think the boys can't wait to get out there, and I think for us the main focus just be get out there, enjoy it, keep it simple, and just focus on it.
Now, we didn't hear it a lot last year, not at all, but do you think we'll hear the X chant after the game soon?
Yeah, we certainly will, Bad. We certainly will. Give it a bit of time, but probably on Saturday around 5 o'clock. Yeah, if you listen close enough, you better hear it from the Tātai Park.
Yeah. Well, it's been fantastic having you on the Hui tonight. All the best for this weekend and the rest of the year. Go well.
Cheers, Bad.
So that is Will Cosgriff, the captain of the Wellington Axemen, and their halfback as well. So a great chat to have him join the Hui tonight. We're just about to call in our next guest, who's going to help us preview the competition. So we'll just wait and see if that's going to kick through. Hopefully that is working. Let's just see if that's working. G'day, Dave. Are you there? Let me just try that again. Hopefully that kicks through. No, that doesn't seem to be working, so we'll just bear with us for a few minutes as we just reset our platforms here. So, just seems to not wanting to pick up at the moment. Okay, so let's give that another go. So hopefully that works. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Ah, there we go. Here we go. That's going to work now. So.
Take two, Brad.
Oh, take two, Dave. Kia ora, Dave. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, cat's fine.
Now, many of our watchers and listeners would have heard this voice on the radio. Tia Puka Oti Ika, the Etu Whānau Footy Show. Dave Piper is joining us tonight to preview round 8 of the Swindale Shield. Dave, many thanks for coming on. We've been trying to get you on for a few weeks now. We had a bit of interface crashed, and then last week you were having some Indian dinner not last week. So how you been anyway, Dave?
Yeah, cat's fine. You're pretty good. Sort of gone through a bit of a bad virus over the last couple of months, but bounced back pretty well, I think. But not looking forward to the winter and perhaps catching the flu or something, but yeah, so far so good.
Now, of course, many of our listeners won't know, Dave, is that actually, despite the fact that you are a radio host as well, you do a bit of running as well.
That's right, yeah. I 3 weeks ago or so, I ran a 50k ultra, the Exterior Fault Line Series, which was a running festival and mountain bike festival that took place over the weekend of the 21st and 22nd of April around the fault line throughout the Whanganui Tara, and the mountain bikers on the Saturday and the runners on the Sunday all running distances of 160 k's right through to about 10 k's, and I ran the 50k ultra. So I did it. A bit of lack of training due to a virus, but I managed to get there, so very proud, very pleased. And obviously, it was a good day. The weather was great, which was fortunate. So very pleased with myself.
Oh, fantastic, Dave. And let's have a look at Swindale Shield round 8 action this weekend. Let's have a look at the first game we're going to look at. Huddy Boys Marist against Wainui. Wainui, after they got trounced by Petone in the last 20 minutes, have won 2 on the road and won at home last week as well. Huddy Boys Marist, they lost to your club, Parramatta Plymouton, in the second half. The Hammerheads rolled over the Eagles. This is quite a hard game to pick, Dave. What's your thoughts on this game?
Oh, look, good win for Wainui Mata, a couple of weeks ago. It's already to Rongotai, who we know aren't mugs. So, and obviously beating Wellington, I guess, to be expected to a certain extent. But, yeah, that game last Saturday at Ngāti Taua Domain, the Etu Whānau Footy Show commentary. And, Parramatta Plymouton, they stayed in the fight, at half-time, having the win in the first half. They were down by a couple of points from memory, but in the second half, they really barred up and playing into the wind. And I guess they just sort of just ran the legs out of Huddy Boys Marist. I think their forwards gave out in the end, so maybe some better fitness by Parramatta Plymouton got them home.
Yeah, exactly. And Hutt at home probably should be too good, but never write off Wainui at your peril. So, Marist St. Pat's and Parramatta Plimerton. Last night we had Jamie Fairmaid on the Huddy Hui, who's brought up his 100th game this weekend. This is the game he is doing. Marist St. Pat's have also lost 2 in a row, and they've started the season at hiss and a roar. The wheels seem to be falling off. They've lost a few players with injuries, but Parramatta Plimerton started the opposite way. They lost their first two games, drew against Upper Hutt, but now they're getting players back and they're on fine form.
Yeah, look, Parramatta Plimerton, I think Jared Fasavalo is a pretty astute coach, and I think he realises that, they won the Swindale Shield last season. I think really it's the Jubilee Cup that counts, and I think they're just building their season slowly and progressively, and whether they win the Swindale or not, it's not a big deal for them as long as they make the Jubilee Cup playoffs. But yeah, look, Marist St. Pat's disappointing in the last couple of games. Quite a surprising loss to Upper Hutt, I think. Bit of a gap in that scoreline, and Parramatta Plimerton, as you say, on a bit of a roll. Bit unconvincing against Poneke the other week, but certainly Huddle Boys Marist, that was a pretty impressive scalp. So, look, it could be quite close this game, but you'd have to say Parramatta Plimerton, if they can play like they did last week, I think they might just edge it.
Yeah, I believe that one too as well, Dave. They seem to be coming into fine form. Now, this is another big game this weekend, and particularly for Johnsonville. They, by all accounts, should have beaten Tawa last weekend, but losing at the end to Tawa. And Upper Hutt, of course, a big win against Marist St. Pat's last weekend. Johnsonville out at Hale Park, and they're promoting the game as We're Blue this weekend at Helston Park. That's going to be quite an epic clash because Upper Hutt don't really like playing Johnsonville very much.
Well, the Tufana Footy Show's out to Helston Park, the suburban oasis of Helston Park on Saturday. So that'll be our feature game on the Tufana Footy Show. Adam, Julian and Lee Campbell got the call. Yeah, look, Upper Hutt, very impressive last week. And maybe they're not that good away from Maidstone Park, perhaps, but certainly in Johnsonville, high-scoring game against Tawa. I think Tawa have let themselves down this season. I think they're a quality team, actually, especially with Haruki Patapata back behind the scrum there. That probably would help them. So, look, it helped them, but, that helped them to beat Johnsonville. But, look, it's going to be a close one, actually. I couldn't really pick that one. I'd go for a draw, actually.
Yeah, you're going to go for the draw. I think Johnsonville at home, if they can keep it together for the whole 80, I think they can do it, Dave. I think Johnsonville could win that one. Well, this one...
Hometown advantage.
Hometown advantage as well. So, the next game we're looking at is the Old Boys University Billy Goats up against Pornihi. Pornihi, of course, had a draw with Norths last weekend out at Jerry Collins Stadium and then lost to Parramatta Plimerton. The Billy Goats are top of the chart, only just the one loss, and they seem to be firing on all cylinders. They've got good depth in their Premier team and Premier reserves. Picking OBU to win this one, Dave.
Outright leaders of the Swindale Shield at the minute, Old Boys University right now, and Poneke, they'll be disappointed with that draw against Northern United. Again, they would have expected to have won, I would have thought, given what happened to Northern United the previous week against Petone. So, look, I think Old Boys University will probably win that one okay, actually. Poneke really need to improve, I think.
And, of course, another team that... won and were pretty good last week was Oriental Orangatai beating Petone, and then of course they're taking on Norths at home this weekend. It's their old timers day at Oriental Orangatai, and they're reopening the club rooms after they've just had a big refurbishment. I picked Ori's 2 weeks ago to beat Wainui and got that one wrong. But yeah, I think Ori's should win at home. I think they got Alex Ropeti back this weekend, so Ori should win. But Norths obviously must have improved a hell of a lot after they lost 88 points to 14 to Petone 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it's good. I'm pleased to see that result for Norths. Yeah, Bigham, they needed that result after that previous week. And yeah, look, Oriental Orangatai, good win over Petone the previous week. Obviously with they'll be on a bit of a high out the polo grounds there with their new club rooms and that. So it might be a big day out there for Oriental Rongotai. So I think they might just pour a bit more misery back onto Northern United, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree on that one too. Next up, Tawa Avalon. Avalon yet to win. They've had a few gutsy results. Unfortunately, Old Boys University put a few on them last weekend. Tawa, though, have been so inconsistent this year, Dave. You would expect Tawa to win this game, but they've put themselves in a tricky position. The win against Johnsonville last week was needed, but they need to keep winning if they're going to make the top 8 for the Jubilee, because if they can, it's very much like last season, if they can get their Super Rugby players back and they've made the Jubilee section, they could be a real threat. But at the moment, they've got to keep winning, don't they?
Well, we all know that Tawa, they tend to come right towards the end of the season, don't they? So if they can make the Jubilee Cup, they're very dangerous. But, they've you're right, use that word inconsistent. They have been inconsistent, sort of losing games uncharacteristically, beating Parramatta Plymouton early in the season. That was a good win for them. But, maybe they're on. They'll definitely beat Avalon on Saturday, but they want to be. I imagine it want to be a commanding performance. And as I said earlier, I think having Hariki Parapara back at halfback will help them. As you say, maybe getting one or two of those Super Rugby players on the periphery back as well. That'll help. But a big win for Tawa, I expect.
Yeah, I agree as well. The last game, of course, our guest tonight, Will Cosgriff, is the captain of the Wellington Axemen. They're taking on Petone. It's Old Timers Day apparently out at the Axemen headquarters, he said tonight. Petone, well, they certainly mucked up that game last week against Oriental Rongotai. They'll be kicking themselves and they'll be looking to make a statement this weekend. I believe they may have Stanley Sullivan back playing this weekend at first five. So I think Petone should win here. The Axemen, though, they showed like how they played against Marist St. Pat's. They could do the same.
Yeah, what happened to Petone last week? It's sort of I was quite surprised by that result after their impressive win the previous week and their pretty decent season up till then. So, yeah, look, I think they'll beat Wellington, but they certainly want to sort of put that last week's result behind them because that was quite disappointing for them. Yeah,
it certainly was. They made a lot of unforced errors and didn't capitalise on certain moments, Petone, so they'll be definitely learning from that game last weekend. They knew they probably should have won it, but they fell into Ori's trap as well. So it's also round 2 of the women's competition. Dave, we move into the 2 divisions. We've got the Tia Pussy and the Izzy Ford. There's 2 games on in the Tia Pussy round. It's Petone versus North, St. Ori's versus Wainui. Petone have been outstanding this season. Wainui have been finishing second in the first round, were supreme. Norths and Ori's, though, even though Ori's lost by 50 last week against Petone, both Norths and Ori's are 2 teams that, second round, sometimes they can flourish a bit better.
Yeah, look, I have to give myself a bit of a slap. I haven't been following the women's competition too closely. I'm just waiting for Alicia Letiainga to come back.
Well, she was running the running the waters and was the medic last week at the game against Petone for Oriental Rongotai. So and hopefully we see her back soon because I think the Black Ferns need her, Dave.
Yeah, they were quite disappointing, weren't they? Yeah, so no, look, I probably can't comment too much on the Wahine, unfortunately. I haven't been following that closely enough, but Parramatta Plymouton obviously aren't sort of figuring too much, so that's my team, obviously, but my club, but I can't really talk too much about that.
Yeah. Well, they've got Avalon and the Izzy Ford this weekend. And if Shakira Baker's playing again, she scored 5 tries last weekend for Parramatta Plymouton. So,
wow.
Yeah, so, that's a good asset for them. Well, Dave, it's been great having you on the Hui tonight, and hopefully we'll chat to you soon sometime.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Brad. Yeah, anytime.
Cool. Mehi. Thank you, Dave.
Matawa.
So that is Dave Piper. He's the voice of the Etuwhanau Footy Show on Te Puko o Te Ika, 1161 AM, 87.5, and also on the Whanau Korero app. You can download that as well. And they've been going for over a decade now doing the radio on the club rugby. Their only radio station to do the radio commentary alongside what we do and what some of the other clubs live stream as well. So also this weekend is the first round of the Wellington First 15 Premiership. We've had one game already. Wellington College in their first traditional against St. Pat's Town, the oldest secondary school traditional in Wellington, and they won 43 points to 10 in a dominant performance. Our crew out there today would like to thank Wellington College, and particularly their coach, director of rugby, Namia Tialata, who put up an impressive scaffold for them right on halfway to give you some great pictures out there this afternoon. So many thanks to Wellington College and their team out there for looking after the Huddy Sports crew this afternoon. Well, there are also 4 other games on in the Premiership, and we're going to have a look at those now. We've got Rongotai College hosting Tawa. That would be a real beauty because Tawa knocking over St. Pat's Town in grading. So that game will be an interesting one. It's Scots College taking on Parapara Umu, and that one will be out at Scots College. St. Bernard's will play host to Hutt International Boys School. That's been played out at St. Bernard's. And then St. Pat's Silverstream have to travel over the hill this weekend and take on Wairarapa College out at their home base. So that's the first round of the Wellington Premiership for 2024. As always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Mike Plumfold Plumbing and Drain Laying Limited and Louise Reddy of New Zealand Travel Brokers. They've been great for us as over the last few years to keep us going. So thank you to Mike Plumfold and Louise Reddy. And if you ever need any plumbing and drain laying work or work to go and see whether you can travel overseas and get the best deal, give these two a plug. And as always, we're always on the lookout for support and sponsors. So head over to huddysports.co.nz or email huddysportsnz@gmail.com. We always need the support. It keeps us free on YouTube and allows us to pay for our camera and bring you some good quality products as well. So that is the Huddy Hui for tonight. And as mentioned in the live stream at Wellington College by Adam Julian, our feature game this weekend will be live streaming Johnsonville versus the Upper Hutt Rams from Helston Park. So that coverage will start at 2:30 with a 2:45 kickoff. So have a look at that. We'll start promoting that game tomorrow. Well, that has been the Huddy Hui for tonight. Many thanks to Will Cosgriff and also Dave Piper coming on to the Hui tonight. I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.